Example 6 says evaluate the quantity x squared minus 4 squared. So this is actually an example where we can't use u substitution. And let me just show you why. So if I made u equal x squared minus 4, which is pretty much the only thing we can really make u, if we found du, that would be equal to 2x dx. And notice that there's not an x anywhere outside of the x squared minus 4. So we can't really use u substitution here. So maybe think about an alternative way of doing this. And if you said, let's try expanding x squared minus 4 squared, you would be correct. So I'm going to go ahead and FOIL that, and that's going to be x to the 4th minus 4x squared minus 4x squared plus 16, and that ends up equaling x to the 4th minus 8x squared plus 16. So now we have the integral of x to the 4th minus 8x squared plus 16 dx, and we can separate that into different integrals. And so that's going to be x to the 5th over 5 minus 8x cubed over 3 plus 16x plus c. And that is our final answer for this one. Example 7 says evaluate the integral of x squared minus 1 over x cubed minus 3x cubed dx. So here we have a numerator and a denominator, and usually if we're going to use u substitution, the u value is either going to be the entire numerator or the entire denominator. Now, if you're asking yourself which one should I make u, you want to make it the one that has the higher power inside the parentheses, because if you make u equal x cubed minus 3x, when you take the derivative of that, it's going to give you x squared as the higher power. So this will be 3x squared minus 3 like that, and that will be dx. And notice that there's not a 3x squared minus 3 anywhere, but if you factored out a 3, then you'd be left with x squared minus 1 dx, and then you could divide that by 3, so du over 3 ends up equaling x squared minus 1 dx, and this x squared minus 1 dx can be found here, and so we can directly substitute that with du over 3. So now let's go ahead and rewrite that integral. We're going to have 1 over u cubed times du over 3, and I'm going to rewrite that so I have 1/3 on the outside and u to the negative 3 power du, and so that becomes 1/3 u to the negative 2 power over negative 2 plus c, and then I just want to replace the u back in and simplify the fraction part. So I have negative 1/6 times x cubed minus 3x to the negative 2 power plus c. Example 8 says, an inferior product with a large advertising budget does well when it is introduced, but sales decline as people discontinue use of the product. Suppose that the rate of weekly sales revenue is given by the function s prime of t is equal to 400 over t plus 1 cubed minus 200 over t plus 1 squared, where s in sales is sales in thousands of dollars and t is time in weeks. Part A says find the function that describes weekly sales. So the weekly sales function is going to equal the integral of the s prime function, and so that's going to equal the integral of 400 over t plus 1 cubed minus 200 over t plus 1 squared dt. So let's do some rewriting so it's easier to take the integral. So I'm going to pull out the 400, and I'm going to rewrite t plus 1 to the negative 3rd power like that, and then t plus 1 to the negative 2nd power dt. And I forgot that there should be a dt right here. That's a minus sign. Okay, and we don't need to use u substitution here because if we made u equal t plus 1, then du is just going to equal dt because the derivative of t is 1. So we can kind of just, I mean, you could use u substitution, but I'm just going to increase the powers by 1 and then divide by that new power. So that will equal 400 times t plus 1 to the negative 2 power divided by negative 2 minus 200 times t plus 1 to the negative 1 power over negative 1. So our final sales function will equal negative 200 times, let me put that in the denominator. So negative 200 over t plus 1 squared plus 200 over t plus 1. So that is our sales function for part A. Part B says find the sales for the first week and the 9th week. So we want to evaluate S of 1 and S of 9. And S of 1 is equal to negative 200 over 1 plus 1 squared plus 200 over 1 plus 1. And that equals negative 200 over 4 plus 200 over 2. And this will equal negative 50 plus 100, which is equal to 50. So the sales after the first week will be $50,000 and blank after the 9th week. So let's go ahead and figure out what the 9th week would be. So S of 9 is going to equal negative 200 over 10 squared. I kind of skipped a step, but I did 9 plus 1 squared plus 200 over 9 plus 1. So that's going to equal negative 200 over 10 squared is 100 plus 200 over 10. So that's going to be negative 2 plus 20, which is 18. So after the 9th week, they would have $18,000 in sales after the 9th week.